The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has described the controversial Nigeria Air unveiled by the Buhari-led administration as a fraud. He added that it remained suspended. He noted that the national carrier that was supposed to be an indigenous project and one that was supposed to spark hope for Nigerians was flawed with a lot of secrecy and fraudulent activities.
Keyamo made the declaration on Nigeria Air while responding to questions from journalists during the second day of the Ministerial Sectorial update on Monday, the 27th of May in Abuja. We're joined this morning by aviation researcher and publisher Goddy Ike. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, good morning. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Hope you're well as well. Now, let's get into the meat of this conversation. This is not the first time that the conversation about Nigeria Air has been on our TV screens and in the social media space. Everyone has been talking about it. But this would be a very, I don't know if I would call it the first time that there will be an actual admission by the government that this was a fraudulent case. Does this then change the dynamics of how, one, Hadi Sirika's case will be handled, and two, the way that does it change the dynamics of how the aviation minister is being perceived, by the public?
Not for people like me. Maybe people who do not understand how the aviation sector works worldwide. By the way, it's important for you to know that aviation is a global business. Nations do their business in their nations, but decisions are made to affect activities globally. And therefore, anyone who does not understand how the sector works would get emotional and say things that are necessary and won't take time to take a good look at what exactly went on and what exactly is going on and what exactly should go on. So I'm not carried away. If you ask further questions about what I think about what went on and what appears to be going on right now, I will give you answers. However, let me mention that I watched that program live. I think that was yesterday, and I must tell you that the Honorable Minister Keyamo was too emotional for my liking, was too emotional to actually make real sense to people like me. Nigerians have keyed into the emotion and are saying all sorts of things out of ignorance. And it's not their fault that they are ignorant of what's going on in the aviation sector, because aviation is a highly, highly technical sector. And before you understand it, you must dig really very deep.
All right, Mr. Ike, can you hold on?
Yeah.
Let's share, the clip from the aviation minister, and then we'll have you react to it. Let us know exactly what you found, what faults you find with it. And then we'll also go deeper into Hadi Sirika, and the expense that was put into the, now termed fraudulent Nigeria Air. So let's quickly share the clip first.
It was never Air Nigeria. It was Ethiopian Air trying to flag our flag. It was not Air Nigeria. That is the truth. There was not an Air Nigeria. It was only painted Air Nigeria. It was Ethiopian airline trying to fly our flag. If it is so, why not allow our local people to fly our flag? Why bring a foreigner to fly our flag? So nobody should deceive that it was Air Nigeria. Air Nigeria must be indigenous, must be wholly Nigeria, or must be for the full benefits of Nigeria. Not that 60% of the profit was another country. How does that benefit us? How? It remains suspended. It remains so.
All right, Goddy, let's have your thoughts on, on the minister's statements. What fault you find with it, and then also the expenditure that Hadi Sirika is accused of mismanaging with the Nigeria Air project. You get into that also.
Okay, number one, I found the Honorable Minister too emotional for my liking, too emotional for the job he's handling. It's not a job that needs you to be emotional. It's a job that needs you to think deeply and study and understand the business that you are supposed to be managing, so that you can you can do it properly and say the proper things. So that's number one fault I found. When you're emotional, you're not likely to make a whole lot of sense, out of what you are dealing with. That is quite natural. And so number two, it is not true that when you want to have an indigenous airline, that it just has to be, wholly indigenous. Partnership is part of global business, because without partnership, especially as a starter, you are likely never to succeed, because that's what gives you your share of route network, and also that's what gives you that market share that you need. Buying airplanes with slush funds, for instance, and dumping them in a nation and giving them a name does not give them route network, does not give them profitability, and it's just exactly what it is: slush funds. And if you bring in 100% and clean up 30%, the 30% becomes clean good money, and for those who are doing this kind of business, they are happy to have 30% out of 100, of slush funds, turned into clean money. Not because they made profit. No, the interest in there is not profit making. So if you are dealing with a situation where you want to make profit as an airline, you must engage in partnership. It's not compulsory that you buy airplanes and own them. It doesn't even make sense to buy them. It's a waste of money. You lease them, and then develop partnerships here and there that will give you the route network that you need in order to succeed. That is fundamentally what I noticed that the Honorable Minister does not yet understand, and the reason for him not understanding that is quite understandable, because, to tell you the truth, I don't see what business he has to control the aviation industry of a nation.
All right, so he obviously got that one wrong, but I'm sure it's also maybe because of the expectations Nigerians had with the way Hadi Sirika had presented the idea of Nigeria Air. Sounded like we're going to be buying our own planes, we're going to be getting into partnerships to get our own airplanes, and the controversy concerning Ethiopian Airlines was just too dirty at that time. But I want you to speak on Hadi Sirika, himself. There were claims then, that the logo was created in Bahrain and cost about $600,000. There's just so much. He's currently, of course, being to court, with allegations of money laundering with himself, his daughter, and son-in-law. So speak about it, and do you think that would ever get the money back that was expended on Nigeria Air?
Well, anytime investigation, unveils misconduct, every nation of the world, every serious-minded nation must do everything to get back its lost money, if you prove that some money was lost. And so you already mentioned that Hadi Sirika used his brother and used his, what did you say, son, and the rest of them. That was not a proper conduct, because we have our rules and regulations on how things get done in government business. And therefore, it was a fundamental error on his side. Now, on the other hand, the idea of partnering with Ethiopian airline and the branding an Ethiopian-owned airline into Nigeria Air is no news at all. It's absolutely, there's no problem with that. For as long as the agreement reached, which should be actually the focus of the current minister, take a good look at the agreement reached, find those areas that are not beneficial to Nigeria or not fair to Nigeria as a nation, and renegotiate them,
right.
And then move forward from there. I won't advise Mr. President Bola Tinubu to ever consider dumping money on going to acquire new airplanes in the name of, setting up the so-called indigenous Air Nigeria or Nigeria Air, whatever you want to call it. I won't subscribe to that because it's a waste of money.
Right.
And you are likely not to break even. You are likely not to, succeed in that business. The way how the Sirica set out to do it was the appropriate way to do it. Unfortunately, perhaps things were shrouded in too much in secrecy for people who should advise and who should know, better how to succeed in what he set out to do.
Unfortunately,
it was an error.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was an error.
Unfortunately,
Go ahead,
we have
go
to
ahead.
interject now because we've run out of time and we need to wrap up. But we certainly want to have you again because there are many layers to this conversation that we want to have this morning. So we say thank you so much for joining us and we apologize for having to cut so quickly. Thank you so much to our audience, to our viewers, to our guests, and those who joined us physically and virtually. We'll be back again same time tomorrow. Thank you for your time with us. And we'll be back tomorrow for our Democracy Day special. So please tune in here on Breakfast Central to be a part of Democracy Day special. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Olive MOD and I'll see you tomorrow.
And I'm Osaogi Ogbon. See you tomorrow.